I'm gonna start it up. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Horror Headlines for the week of October 1st. We are in October 2024.
Yeah, we are.
I am Calamity John Marr from Why We Love Horror. That is the Hitman Hunter Chambliss from Welcome to Primetime and the Nerd Entertainment Network. Hunter, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It is the first day of spooky season. Super excited to be back with Horror Headlines. October is going to be incredible because we are 10 days away from Terrifier 3, which I cannot wait to see. Lots happening. A lot of big news coming out for the weeks. I can't wait to get into it.
All right, well, let's not keep the people in suspense. What's the first headline of this evening?
All right, big news coming from BladeDisgusting.com. Scream 7 is releasing in theaters in February 2026. Neve Campbell is back as Sidney Prescott in the upcoming Scream 7, and it has been officially announced today that the 7th installment will hit theaters on February 27th, 2026. Original Scream writer Kevin Williamson will direct Scream 7. The film, which is currently untitled, was written by Guy Busick from a story by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. Courtney Cox is expected to return as Gail Weathers, but hasn't signed on yet. So, John, thoughts on the official release date for Scream 7?
I like how it doesn't have a title yet. The title is Scream 7. Let's not.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to just oh yeah, we got Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, Scream, and then Scream 6. This movie is going to be called Ghostface Return, and we're not going to put the word Scream in the title.
Stu lives.
Yeah. The Return of Stu. Who isn't? I mean, with all the ups and downs of this, who isn't excited for Scream 7? I mean, but Hunter, you're the Scream guy. I'll ask you. How do you feel about it?
I am very excited for Scream 7. It's got a lot of up and downs. At first, Christopher Landon, was scheduled to direct it, with Melissa Barrera being back. And possibly continuing the Carpenter sister story. But then everything happened. I'm not going to get into it. Been a lot of drama behind the scenes, but it looks like now we're officially getting back to some sort of Scream excitement, at least for me. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do. I love that Neve Campbell is back as Sidney Prescott, one of my favorite final girls. I'm interested to see where Kevin Williamson takes this directing style because he's not writing it. So, as I said, it's being written by Guy Busick, who wrote Scream 5 and 6. So I wonder what the rewrites were going to be, because if he was going to be writing the script, I wonder if his original script and story was going to be based on the Carpenter sisters.
I mean, you're going to have Kevin Williamson on set. You're going to have him directing every scene. I guarantee he punches things up on the fly. He'll ad-lib things on the fly. He'll be like, oh, maybe we should say this. I don't think Kevin Williamson's fingerprints don't wind up in the dialogue in this movie.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he had some input on 5 and 6 as well. Not complete script rewrites, but I'm pretty sure that Radio Silence respected him enough to get his input on it, with him being an executive producer. But with him now being director, I wonder if that's going to lean more into maybe Williamson did rewrite some stuff. Maybe he did have his hands on it, which, if that's the case, then his style of writing I really love. I also love the way that Radio Silence and their team writes their scripts. So if he can get that tone back from the original, the first 3 Screams, but also give it the kind of updated and really good kind of character moments of 5 and 6, this could be a really, really great Scream film.
I would agree. I think that, just the way that Kevin Williamson writes, I could see him maybe even doing multiple takes with multiple different, dialogue trees. And then in the
Mhm.
editing chair, give us a movie that the actors don't even realize they shot. Jamie, thanks for joining. Jamie, thanks for sending a rose. We appreciate you every week dropping by in our headlines. We're talking about Scream 7 coming out early 2026. I think everyone's going to go see it.
Oh
If
yeah.
you're a horror fan, not gatekeeping, but I guarantee if you're a horror fan, you're gonna see it, unless you're one of these hardline I am boycotting. But I feel like the politics of this. Let's talk about the politics briefly without getting into crazy details. I
Yeah.
think that we are slowly alleviating the bad taste that we got through all the Melissa and Jenna stuff. So I think by the time 2026 rolls around, seeing as we haven't even done principal production yet, we might see reconciliation. It feels that way, though. I'm still of the mindset give us the Sydney story and then bring everybody back for 8. That's my pitch, and it's still my pitch.
That could be possible. It just depends on if Spyglass and Melissa Barrera can come to terms. I mean, you could say, well, Nev Campbell came back and worked with Spyglass. That's a little different. That was more on the pay side of it, and Nev rightfully didn't think that she was getting paid what she deserved and what she, being the main character of this franchise, a lot of these films. This one is more politic based, and I don't know, because they're on two extremely different sides of the political spectrum when it comes to this situation. It's going to be hard for them to come up with working together again based on that situation.
Well, remains to be seen then. Unless Spyglass dumps it, and to a different studio, which I give a very slight percentage.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we got for our second topic of the evening?
All right, our second topic is a movie I didn't realize was happening, but I'm very excited for it. From BladeDisgusting.com, James Wan's Creature from the Black Lagoon movie gets a writer. In addition to Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, and Lee Whannell's Wolfman, another classic horror movie monster is getting ready for a return with director James Wan's Creature from the Black Lagoon, in the works from Atomic Monster and Universal Pictures. The project has now landed a writer. Sean Tretta, who wrote Mayans MC and Star Trek Picard, will write the film. Deadline notes the screenplay is based off a treatment written by James Wan, Raphael Jordan, and Brian Conan. Deadline also reports Wan is in early talks to potentially direct a grounded modernization retelling that leans into visual horror whilst paying respect to the original classic. So, John, thoughts on the Creature from the Black Lagoon and its writer?
Writer's fine. Definitely, if you have a writer coming from the Mayans MC, from that Kurt Sutter tree of writing, it's going to be really gritty, brutal writing. But I'll tell you what actually gives me pause about this: James Wan directing.
Ooh, really?
If the Creature from the Black Lagoon, if we're gonna get the Aquaman green screen bullshit, I don't want it. I don't want it. Give me more Dead Silency type stuff. Don't give me Aquaman stuff. If he can get back to his roots and just film a movie that is not overproduced, over post produced, I think that's what the Creature from the Black Lagoon needs, especially if these movies are going to hit. If we're going to get the Invisible Man quality Universal Monsters reboots for the Wolfman and Frankenstein and Nosferatu, then please, James, go back to your roots. Do not give us Aquaman shit. I'll be upset.
I am very excited for this. Just because I've seen what James Wan can do in both horror and in this kind of fantastical world. I mean, you did mention Aquaman. I think the first Aquaman is actually really fun. I think he took a lot of creative swings with that because he had the freedom to actually make a James Wan movie in a superhero type setting. that I think he did really well. He balanced really good horror with the trend stuff, and then some really good superhero moments. The second one went a little too far into the comic booky comedy version of what the original one did very well. But I'm excited because he's not working with Warner Brothers, so he's going to have a film, hopefully, that he can do by himself, that he can work on and really, kind of make it his own. If he does go back to his horror roots, and that's exactly what I'm excited for, because James Wan did, The Conjuring, Dead Silence, just so many, great horror movies that not
Give me a
only
Creature
deal
from the
with.
Black Lagoon movie that looks like Saw. I want a Creature from the Black Lagoon movie that
There you
looks
go.
like Saw. That I can get behind.
There you go. But I love that we're getting this more like resurgence of, classic monster movies, because we're getting, I think, 4 or 5 in the next few years, which is very, very exciting. And they're all from like really great directors like James Wan, Lee Winnell, Robert Eggers, like just titans of, horror filmmaking. And it's really good to see them kind of taking their unique strengths and adding it to something that's so well known, like a Creature from the Black Lagoon or a Nosferatu or a Wolfman.
Yeah, and Guillermo del Toro attached to
Del Toro,
Frankenstein
yes.
is probably your best bet. Like, got to be your best bet, right? I mean, I'm trying to think who could maybe even do it better. I don't think you have a better like dark fantasy director working besides maybe Peter Jackson. But I think GDT is still your best bet.
Oh yeah, 100%. I didn't know that he was making a Frankenstein movie, but when I heard it, I was like, that adds up so well. Like the fantastical element that he can bring to the movie. But same with James Wan. I think James Wan, when he's in the horror space, I think he's really good. I think the problem is when he tries to do big franchises that the studio gets involved with.
Yeah, the Aquaman movies to me were like too seduced by like green screen effects, and like it's like you probably didn't have to go so far. Like, why did Patrick Wilson look so shiny? Like he shouldn't look so shiny.
I mean that is very true.
Yeah.
My hope is that he goes back to practical effects with this one. Because I'm pretty sure he used practical and a little bit of digital for what's the one? Malignant.
Yeah, give me Malignant. Just give me Malignant again.
Yes.
Yeah, A Creature from the Black Lagoon, but Malignant is also fine. And cast Zoe Bell again. We always love Zoe. Put her in the movie.
Hell yeah.
What do we got next?
Speaking of Del Toro's and his Frankenstein movie, filming is now complete on Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie. All right, so Del Toro is adapting Mary Shelley's classic horror novel Frankenstein for Netflix, and the Oscar-winning filmmaker has been keeping us updated on the production these last several months via his official Twitter account. Shooting kicked off back in February, and Del Toro has taken to Twitter this morning to announce the production is now complete. Del Toro tweets, "Shooting has been complete on Frankenstein. Joy. Jacob Idoli will be playing Frankenstein's monster in the adaptation of the classic Mary Shelley novel alongside Mia Goth, Christoph Waltz, and Oscar Isaac. Ralph Emerson will make a pivotal cameo appearance in the film as well." So, John, thoughts on the production of Del Toro's Frankenstein movie?
That cast is great. Even Ralph Ineson showing up. Ralph Ineson, who's in every single movie, showing up in that movie. Here's my one brain teaser thing, and I think it's gonna make sense when I lay it all out. Like I watched Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio actually last week, and that movie actually probably went a little harder than I was expecting. It was really dark. But Guillermo del Toro kind of has like a limit. Like some of his movies are dark and they're dark fantasies, and they get a little creepy, but they never really go full bore. Like there's not a Guillermo del Toro movie where you're like, oh man, Guillermo del Toro is like an edgy bastard. you know. But I'd love
Yeah.
to see a Frankenstein movie that's true to the Shelley novel, and that novel is dark. That is like that's like a Damien Leone level, some shit going on in that book. Is Guillermo del Toro going to have like Frankenstein ripping people's hearts out and like dismembering them? Because that's Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein's monster does that stuff. It's not just like smush, smush, smush. There's some real calculated sociopathic shit going on in Frankenstein. And honestly, if Guillermo del Toro goes strict to the letter, it'd probably be the most hardcore movie he's ever done.
Wow.
We'll see, though.
I mean,
not that he's necessarily the most family-friendly director, but his movies, like you look at Pan's Labyrinth and The Shape of Water, and like all these movies, and you're like, they're kind of in a way whimsical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
he has a kind of a.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I mean, he has a style almost like a Tim Burton in a way, where Burton does do horror movies, but they have this kind of fantastical, as you said, element to them, where like some of them can be seen as horror, some of them, you know, can see more like a sci-fi movie or a war movie with, you know, Del Toro's filmography, but like deep down there is some sort of horror element that's tying into it. I'm interested if he's going to do an adaptation of the novel, or if he's going to do an adaptation of the novel based on the original 30s movie, because those are two completely different styles.
I needed to go like in the direction Kenneth Branagh was going, but past it. Pizzle's in the chat. Pizzle, how you doing? Pizzle, we're talking about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein right now. Not that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Kenneth Branagh's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was like a huge hit, but he was going in the right. That was real dark. It was going in the right direction. We're doing great, Pizzle. And what are your thoughts on Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein?
I'm very excited for it. I recently rewatched the original Frankenstein movie, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm excited to see what he brings to this story, especially because it's a story not just about the monster attacks, but it's about somebody trying to play God and his creation, ended up killing him. It's going so far into playing God that your own creation takes you over. And I wonder if he's going to dive more into that than more of the look at the big monster, which if that's the case, that's awesome, because Del Toro does a really good job at like balancing really good set pieces and environments, but also giving us a really grounded character story. I think in almost every one of his films, he makes really good characters, and I think that could be the tie that makes his movie different than others.
Well, before we move on to the next topic, Pizzle says he just watched Strange Darling. Strange Darling is a great film, probably my top 10 of this year. And as far as Frankenstein goes, he's always thinking of the Frankenstein bit from Lost in Time, worth mentioning. But what is our next story for tonight?
We are continuing on the classic movie trail with the trailer for Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. The horror classic Nosferatu gets a brand new makeover from acclaimed director Robert Eggers. The Witch and the Lighthouse this holiday season, and Focus Features invites you to sink your teeth into the official trailer this morning. Bill Skarsgård is playing Nosferatu / Count Orlok in the film, whose appearance remains hidden even in the latest official trailer. So, John, thoughts on the trailer for Nosferatu?
And I think I've mentioned it the past few weeks, I'm not a fan of them putting out like successive trailers, and I do hope that with this movie they stick with it. I hope this is the last trailer we see. I don't need a third trailer where they show me Bill Skarsgård in full Nosferatu makeup. Please don't show him.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. In this one, you see like him in silhouette, which is fine, but like. That was the issue with like the successive Speak No Evil trailers, with these successive Smile 2 trailers. Like, it's like we know, even if I know 80% of the plot of the movie, that's still too much. Even if you're still holding back 20% for like twists and turns, don't. Just give me the concept. I'll watch the movie. Like, that's fine. Like, I'm gonna watch Nosferatu. I would have watched it if you didn't tell me what it was, but you just said it was a new Robert Eggers movie. I would have watched it if you didn't tell me what it was, and you said, by the way, Bill Skarsgård's back in another costume. Like, there's a million different ways you could have pitched this movie to me, and I would have still watched it. So please do not give me too much in these trailers. You're giving me Bill Skarsgård, Willem Dafoe, Nicholas Hoult, ATJ, Lily Rose Depp looks great in the trailer, by the way. All these folks, like, killing it. Like, I'm good. I don't want a third trailer. Just put it. I will wait until Christmas and I'll watch the movie. I don't, and I know between now and Christmas, I'm going to see this before every movie I watch. So let's not overkill it. Let's not overkill it. Don't want a third trailer, please, Hunter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to get the third trailer and we're going to get TV spots. But if the marketing continues to do what they're doing now, show more of Lily as the lead, show more of Nicholas Hoult, show a little bit more of Nosferatu himself, but in silhouette, behind stuff, just kind of keep the mystery. We know what he looks like. So we know what the original looks like. So play off of that. Show him in the shadows, show him behind stuff.
Yeah,
like play up that aspect of it.
We're being asked our opinion on Last Voyage of the Demeter. I am a fan of Last Voyage of the Demeter. I could do without the last 90 seconds where it turns into an MCU movie, but everything else, all the runtime up until the scene in the bar where it's like dun, 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 like everything before that, great.
Yeah, I agree. I watched that when I was a janitor at my local theater, so they had that movie playing. I walked in not knowing anything about it, ended up really liking it. I thought it was a really unique, because they took one chapter from the
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
The Dracula novel and made it into this kind of really good horror movie set on one location. I think the acting was really well. I really enjoyed that movie for what it was. And then, I just said the last kind of, 90 seconds of it does go kind of a little overboard for my taste.
It's a little overboard, yeah. But that's my only complaint about the movie. I think it was kind of like a hit or miss movie. Like, people are really split on it, but I think it was fine. I'm a huge fan of Liam Cunningham, Aisling Franciosi. I'm huge fans of like David S. Malchin. There's a great cast, and it's a very bottleneck, one location movie, real suspense. They don't care about killing kids and dogs. Like, let's go.
Yeah. All right. You ready to move on to our next topic?
What do we got next?
All right. We have a new Nicole Kidman movie called Babygirl, and it's from the director of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. So again, from BladeDiscussing.com, fresh off of Bodies, 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 A24 and director Helena Regine are back together for Babygirl, an exotic thriller starring Nicole Kidman that released its official trailer this morning. Nicole Kidman, Antonio Banderas, and Harris Dickinson stars in the A24 Babygirl, while Sophia Wilde and Jean Russo round out the all-star cast. In the film, a successful CEO begins an illicit affair with a much younger intern. So, thoughts on the trailer for Babygirl?
I saw this. A lot of things made me happy about it. A24, always good. Like, at the worst, you're gonna get a mediocre movie. At the absolute dog shit worst, it's mediocre. Helena Rain, I did like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Nicole Kidman coming back to A24. Antonio Banderas looks good in that movie. Harris Dickinson coming back to A24 after the Iron Claw. All the pieces are here. And it reminds me, there was a Neon movie that came out a few years ago called Sanctuary, which is also like a movie about two people kind of having an illicit affair. It's like an erotic thriller, psychological thriller. So I'm kind of into these movies. Are they horror? On some level, yeah, I guess. But it's kind of like a little bit of a palate cleanser because it's really just like a straight thriller. So I'm gonna see it.
Yeah, definitely. I really like this trailer. I think the idea of we've seen this type of movie before. This is kind of I know it's not going to be.
It's like reverse instinct. It's like a reverse Basic Instinct. It looks like.
Yeah, that too. I was thinking more of a better version of 50 Shades of Grey in a
Yeah.
way where it's like more of like an exotic, an exotic thriller. But I mean, the director involved is incredible. I loved Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I think that movie is incredible from the cast to the comedic moments to the, the who done it mystery. I thought it was really, really well done, and she directed that really well using really good like long shots and dark shots and hallways, and again single location, using that to her advantage. So I'm really excited to see what she does with this one. A24, as you said, very rarely miss, and if they do, it's just an okay movie compared to a dog shit movie. So
Exactly.
I'm very excited for this one, and the trailer got me even more excited.
All right. What do we got coming up next?
All right. Speaking of Neon, Mike Flanagan's The Life of Chuck finds a home at Neon Pictures. Mike Flanagan returned to the world of Stephen King with The Life of Chuck, and Variety reports today that Neon is closing a distribution deal to acquire the film in the wake of it winning the People's Choice Awards at TIFF. Variety speculates the film will likely be released in the summer of 2025. Tom Hiddleston plays the title character in The Life of Chuck, based on the 2020 Stephen King short story of the same name. The film just premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival for its 49th edition, running from September 5th to September 15th, 2024. So, thoughts on Neon getting the rights for the Life of Chuck?
Flanagan don't miss. I mean, Life of Chuck's a great story. Is it like horror? Not really. It's very it's like existential horror, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It depends how. I mean, Flanagan's probably going to dress it up and make it a horror movie. But yeah, I just watched today another story from the same anthology, If It Bleeds. I watched Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which I liked. So I'm glad they are. I'm glad they're adapting everything Stephen King does. Like, leave no stone unturned. There's so many stories left. Life of Chuck is a weird story. If anybody can do it, it's Mike Flanagan. So I'm gonna just like go in semi-blind. I'm sure I'm gonna wind up seeing a trailer, but I do want to see how they make this a film, and I trust Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, 100%. I also trust Mike Flanagan. He doesn't miss, as you said. Every single one of his films is fantastic. This is like another one. He's going back into the world of Stephen King, which, if what he did with Dr. Sleep gets me more excited to see what he does with this. I don't know the story of the Life of Chuck, so I'm going into this completely blind. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know a lot about it, so I'm going to watch like maybe one trailer and that's it, just to get the tone of it. I put it into this one because it may not be horror, but with Neon, Mike Flanagan, and Stephen King, I thought, you know what, let's put it on here. Let's talk about it. Let's see what it's going to be. Neon, man, is like, it's like A24 and Neon for me, like head to head, because I thought Longlegs is the best film of the year for me. I think it's so good, and they just keep bringing out hit after hit after hit. So for them to get this movie by Mike Flanagan, again, shows that they are going for the neck of A24 as one of the best, just studios working today.
I would agree. It's definitely neck and neck, and they both put out great movies. What's next on the docket?
All right. So from bladescast.com, we have a new werewolf movie from starring Frank Grillo called Werewolves. It says, described as The Purge with Werewolves, Stephen C. Miller's Werewolves is headed our way this December and has received a MPA rating this week. Werewolves is rated R for violence, gore, and language. It says, in Werewolves, a supermoon event triggers a latent genre in every human on the planet, turning everyone who entered the moonlight into a werewolf for that one night. Chaos ensures, and close to 1 billion people died. Now, a year later, the supermoon is back. So, thoughts on the the rating for Werewolves and just Werewolves in general?
That sounds like it sucks. I'm gonna watch it though. Yeah, that just said that if they're dropping the words "The Purge" in a description, you're leaning into like action horror territory. So it's just going to be like a bunch of like really cool kills and werewolves fighting. If they do it practically, I'm in. If they do it like CGI dumb shit, I'm out. We've had a bunch of werewolf movies lately too. So I'm kind of werewolfed out, especially knowing the Wolfman is on the horizon. So it's going to take something special. Werewolves need. I need a break from werewolves, I think.
That's fair. So I'm not really sure who this director is. It said he directed Silent Night, but I don't know if that's the one with um if that's the remake of Silent Night Deadly Night that came out in 2012. If it
Maybe
is, then I'm not
it's
excited for
definitely
this.
not the. Yeah, I think it's that one that came out a few years ago. We can always look it
The
up.
David Harbour
We'll,
one.
we'll correct it in post. But like, yeah, not a known name. I know who Frank Grillo is, and it's funny that Frank Grillo is going to be in a movie that has the description that it's like The Purge with vampires, seeing as he was in Anarchy and Election Year.
Werewolves, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. The Purge with werewolves, and then let's get the guy from The Purge and put it in there. Great, good move.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think about it?
I'm interested in the description. I think the first Purge, not the actual first Purge movie, but the original Purge movie, I think it's not bad. I think it could have done more with its source material. But I think if you take that idea and add it where everybody turns into a werewolf, that does give it a kind of unique flavor of like instead of one person being turned into a werewolf, it's everybody is turning into a werewolf, and now you just got like a free for all to see what happens. That could give us some really good gore, some really good a fun time. I'm just looking for a fun horror action movie. And if you can deliver that to me with Frank Grillo, I'll be happy.
Fair enough. What's next? This is our last story. We got one more after this one.
This is the last one. All right. So again, from BloodyDisgusting.com, Daniela Manchor joins the Anaconda reboot starring Paul Rudd and Jack Black. In the wake of 3 sequels and a spin-off crossover film with the Lake Placid franchise, the 1997 Anaconda is plotting a return to the screen. Tom Gorman of The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is scripting and directing the next Anaconda movie for Columbia Pictures with Paul Rudd and Jack Black starring. Additionally, Deadline reports tonight that rising star Daniela Manchor from The Suicide Squad and Roadhouse has come on to join the horror reboot. So, thoughts on adding Daniela Manchor to the Anaconda reboot?
She's fine. You kind of have me with Paul Rudd and Jack Black. I don't really care who it is. I mean, obviously, we're not going straight horror here. I don't see how you book Paul Rudd and Jack Black and you don't have it be a horror comedy. That seems like a miss. So at that point, if you're writing a horror comedy with Paul Rudd and Jack Black as like your cornerstones, you could put a bunch of freaking crash test dummies with them. It should be fine.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of hers. I loved her in the Suicide Squad. I thought she worked very well off of the James Gunn writing style of like really good comedy. I think she had really good comedic moments because if you're going to work with someone like a James Gunn who is very, very quick on his comedy routes, you have to be that naturally kind of willing to work with anything and kind of go with the flow. And it seems like she has
Is
that.
she the leader of the rebels in the Suicide Squad? Is that who she is?
No, she is the she can control rats in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, she's Ratcatcher. Okay, yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Ratcatcher. So the fact that like that was the first time I saw her, and she really does have good comedic and dramatic chops. I thought she was really good in Roadhouse. That movie it's fun. It's not great, but I think she is one of the best parts of that movie. And like you said, you add Paul Rudd, you add Jack Black. This is going to be a horror comedy, and it's being written by the same guy who did The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which I personally loved. I thought it's a really good Nick Cage movie.
Great movie.
About Nick Cage, which is great. And the fact that this movie he's doing like another meta movie. I just realized, because this is about somebody remaking a horror movie in a remake of a horror franchise. So it's like this dude does a really good work at taking meta kind of ideas and scripting it out. So I'm excited to see what he does with this one.
All right. Well, that was our last story for the evening. So, hey, listen, if you made it this far, if you hung out with us, we appreciate it. You can find me over on Why We Love Horror on YouTube. You can find Hunter. Welcome to Primetime on YouTube. Anything else come up, Hunter, that you want to plug?
Yes, we are doing over at Welcome to Primetime. We have the Jaws Sinister Horror Stash coming up. And then in the next 2 weeks leading up to Terrifier 3, we're doing the Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2 Sinister's Horror Stash. So go ahead and check that out as well. And yeah, go ahead and check out everything over at Welcome to Primetime. We are also doing the 61 Days of Primetime. We are on the 1970s. The 60s is being uploaded very soon, and then we are going to record the 70s very soon.
Sounds awesome. So, you know what we do, Hunter? Hit him with that outro, and then we'll see you next week.
Stay scared.